everyone, so this video is going to be about back bends and bridges. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and we sometimes don't realize it's more than just a back bend. In a bridge there's a lot to do with the shoulders, there's a lot to do with the glutes, your bum basically, as well as the spine. So the stuff I'm going to give you today basically is a good foundation to put it into your warm-up routine. It can be part of your conditioning routine, and it's basically a great warm-up to do bridges. And if you're not feeling bridges that day, you don't actually want to do a bridge, if you do these exercises, they're still going to help you progress towards your goal. Now, before I get started, I do want to talk through some of the terminology that I'm going to be using and explain the anatomy involved, just because otherwise it's going to go straight over your head and it's a little confusing, because I do know I use certain terms a lot. So one of the terms I'll use a lot is your internal and external rotation of your shoulder, just here. So internal rotation is when our shoulder comes in. External is when it kind of comes out, so we open the chest. Now we have to be careful that this doesn't affect our core, because sometimes when we think we're externally rotating, we're actually sticking our ribs forwards and arching in our back. So we want it to externally rotate without changing anything else. And then we have that internal rotation. Kind of straightforward until we start going upside down, and then everything's back to front. So when our arms are beside us, we have the normal. External rotation, we bring our palms forwards, inside of our elbows kind of go out. Depends if you're hypermobile, how far they turn. And then the shoulders opening. That's an external rotation, or I also say things like create space in your chest between your shoulders, because you've got more space now. Internal rotation is the other way, so our palms come inwards and they turn all the way around, and you end up with a hunchback. It is useful for some exercises, but we're going to avoid that one today. When our arms are above our head, this is where it can get confusing. So our internal rotation is like this. The shoulder starts to rotate inwards. And also our armpit starts to flare out. So the armpit kind of goes to the side and open on our lat. That big muscle here starts to go away from us. That's actually an internal rotation. External rotation is where we create space. So we're externally rotating. Our armpit's coming in a little bit. Now these aren't huge differences sometimes. The armpit's thinking about coming in, and our big lat muscle is wrapping around us, providing us with support. Now you can do an external rotation without the need to compress everything down, because in a bridge we want an external rotation with a push as well. What gets confusing is we'll do an external rotation, but then we'll push our shoulder up and then it starts to happen. Yeah? So the biggest issue in bridges, why are my arms bent? Why can't I straighten my arms? And a lot of time we think it's due to strength, like we can't just push, or we think it's because our back isn't flexible enough. It's actually to do with our lats. So these big muscles, which are amazing, they support us in so much. But if they're short or if they're tight, they're the reason you're probably, majority of the time, are bending your elbow. So our lats start on our back all the way down here, and then they come up, you see them here. But they actually come in and they attach in the front of our shoulder. So if they're tight, they cause that internal rotation, and that's usually why our arm starts to bend. So if we can get that external rotation and that push, we get a straighter arm. It does take time though as well. So that's internal and external rotation. For a bridge, we need a lot of external rotation with a push as well. The other thing is scapular posterior tilt, which is a mouthful. So scapula is our shoulder blade, which is the bone thing at the back, all the way here. It kind of sits on our back like this. Now posterior means it's tilting to our butt, posterior, that way, to the back. So we've got to think about the top of the shoulder blade. We want it to tilt backwards. And the little pointy part, which is about there, is kind of tilting inwards. So we want more of a posterior tilt of our shoulder blade, basically. And that is hard. It's a very hard place to mobilize, and whether you're an aerialist or not, tight shoulders, it's really hard. Because the more posterior tilt we have, come from the side. So you see that this is now closed. So all the way this way is the flexion. Yeah, I got that right? So it comes inwards, but we want an extension. Extension means we want to open it, but with keeping our core in. So the more we can get this arm above without our ribs flaring, the more we know about our shoulder and the flexibility range. So the more we can open it from here to here, the more we're getting posterior tilt. What's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Glutes. Ah, yes, our glutes, our bum. Very important in a bridge. A lot of you may be doing bridges and you're like, oh, my arms are bending, it's hard to get my head off. So the first thing I just spoke about, that explains that. The other common issue that a lot of people have when doing a bridge is they feel it in their lower back. They feel a lot of strain and a lot of pressure, and that's not good. Like, that's not good for our body. That's not a good pain. It's not always a good pain, but it's a pain we don't want to be having. It's a lot of pressure on the spine and the vertebrae. This usually happens because we're not engaging our glutes. Our glutes are a really big muscle. We want to engage them. So I'll be showing you exercises as well for that, and then we'll put them all together to do bridges. So, with all that information given, let's start warming up. So, the first thing I love to do is just to get a really good spine mobility. So we're just going to roll down and back up. We're going to find our hips over our heels, and we're just really slowly going to go head first and try and mobilize each vertebrae at a time. You can have a bend in your knees. This isn't a stretch. This is just getting our spine moving and warming up. So we're going to go all the way down. And then we're just going to give a bum a squeeze so we can come up. Our head is heavy and it's the last thing to come up. And then we're going to go down again. So just take your time. Really think about your spine mobilizing as much as possible. And then back up. Head is heavy. Let's do one more. So I do roll downs as a warm-up for everything. The more happier your spine is, the happier your body is. And I find warming up is easier. There we go. So we are going to do a little, my version of a sun salutation, nothing like the yoga sun salutation, to warm up. So we're going to take our arms above our head, and what we're going to do is not just going to have them here, so there's a bit of a gap. We're going to think about pushing them up to the ceiling, so your shoulder is going to be squishing your ear. But while you do that, make sure that doesn't happen. So you want to keep a lovely squeezed bum. We're keeping our pelvis tucked under a little bit, so we're not sticking our butt out. Yeah? And we're just going to wiggle side to side, so we're going to go up. We're going to raise up to the ceiling, and we're going to wiggle to one side, and we're going to wiggle to the other. We're going to do this a few times. You're going to think about reaching taller through the middle every single time. And then we're going to come to the middle. You're going to squeeze your bum, and you're just going to do a little lean forward. And then you're going to come forwards. And we're going to do a flat back down, so tabletop position, so a nice degree. And then you can just round down. Hands to the floor. We're going to do a little raise up and think about that spine lengthening. And then we're going to come down. And then we're going to bend our knees in a lovely roll up. Basically, making our spine happy. And up again. We're going to reach tall. We're going to do wiggles side to side. Come to the middle. Reach up. Little lean back. Make sure you're squeezing your bum. And then come back. Flat back down, all the way down. Little raise, back down. Bend your legs. Head is heavy as you roll up. And once more, we'll go for a slightly bigger back lean for this one. So reach up, squeeze the bum, wiggle side to side. To the center, squeeze the bum, lean back. Coming forward, we're going to fold down, all the way down, a little lean up, and then as we go down, you can step or jump out into a plank. Now while we're in this plank, I want us to think about that external rotation in our shoulders. So we're creating space in our chest. And then we're going to push up. So like how a mum cat grabs the kin by the scruff of the neck, you kind of imagine that. And then you're just going to relax and let your shoulders sink all the way down, but without your hips dipping down. This is bad. Keep your hips in line with your shoulders. And then you're going to push all the way up and all the way down. Our arms are staying straight. We are just waking up our rotator cuff and our core with a few shoulder shrugs. And then we're going to do downward dog, because it's always nice. Now, if like me, you have a slight roundedness in your lower spine, we can bend our legs, especially while we're warming up. Our body might not be ready to go into its full range of flexibility and motion, so have a bend in your knees. You're still going to think about pushing your hands into the floor, shoulders up to your ear, but thinking about that external rotation in your shoulder. And then you're going to sink in your shoulder blades again. And then you're going to push your shoulders to your ears. And then relax and push your shoulders to your ears. So we're just doing some weird shoulder shrugs while in a downward dog. And then we're going to keep the push, and then we're just going to walk through our feet. This is always really nice to warm up this way. Wakes up the calves and the hamstrings. And then just think about chest to the thighs before coming to all fours. Now make sure on all your all fours, your hands are directly under your shoulders. And they're not too wide. A lot of people will compensate and go really wide. We just want under the shoulders. Knees are going to be under your hips. So there is a slight gap going on. And we're just going to do a happy cat and an angry cat. So for a happy cat, we're going to arch, we're going to stick our bum up, we're going to look towards the ceiling. We're going to think external rotation of that shoulders. We're creating space in our chest. We're going to go into angry cat. This is an internal rotation of the shoulder. So we're rounding as much as we possibly can. And we're going to go back to happy cat. And angry cat. Squeeze your bum throughout all of this, especially when you're initializing the change from happy to angry or angry to happy. So squeeze your bum now as you go to a happy cat. And then squeeze your bum to go to an angry cat. And then we're going to do a ripple effect. So in our angry cat, starting with the bum. You might want to watch first if you want. So you're going to squeeze your bum. You're going to start tilting the pelvis, sticking your bum out. Everything else staying rounded, it's just the bum sticking out. You're going to work your way up your spine from the bottom to the top to start getting an arch, traveling up your spine. And you're going to try and do a vertebrae at a time if you can. And then your head is the last thing to look up. Now with that arch, we're going to ripple into an angry cat, starting with the bum. Bum tucks under, good bum squeeze. And you're going to round slowly all the way up through your spine until your head comes along at the end. Let's do 3 more of these, 3 of each, that's 6 in total. So ripple into your happy cat with that external rotation of the shoulders, and ripple into your angry cat as we internally rotate of our shoulders, and ripple into a happy cat, and ripple into an angry cat. 1 more of each, happy cat, and angry cat. And release. Let's give our wrists a bit of a wake up as well. So we're just going to go here. And let's do some waves as well. If you hear any clicks, it's completely normal. My body just sounds like a glow stick breaking. And another way. If anybody does have joints that click and pop, as long as it doesn't hurt, don't worry, it's just pressure releasing from your joints. If you are one of the few people that do get pain or something clicks or pop, definitely see your GP, just to make sure there's nothing else going on there. And then just the palm, so fingers coming towards you, you're just going to place it down, and the other side. And then back of hands as well. So we're going to do a yoga bridge. So it's not like the type of bridge we're thinking of. But again, it works the glutes, it works the spine. Now just before we do that, we're just going to do a few tilts with our pelvis, just to understand what we want our pelvis to do. So when our pelvis is in neutral, you can place your palms on your hip bones, your fingertips on your pubic bone, and they should be pretty much level. So that's your pelvis in neutral. Now if you were to really arch your back, I don't know if you can see, so it's just the back coming off, upper body still there, you'll notice your pubic bone has gone away from your fingers. So we're tilting our pelvis. We're going to go back to neutral. And now we're going to flatten our spine against the floor. You'll notice your pubic bone has come towards you. So we've tucked our pelvis, or tucked our pelvis under. So what we're going to do now, making sure our knees are hip width, so there is a gap between your knees, just a natural one. And make sure your feet are close-ish to your bum. You want a bit of space in between there. Now be aware your knees will want to cheat. They'll want to drift out, or one will start knocking in, or the other way. If this happens a lot to you, place a block, a pillow, or a half-deflated ball in between your knees, and just that little squeeze will activate those inner thighs and stop everything cheating and wobbling about. So now we're just going to flatten our spine to the floor. So we're tucking our pelvis under. We're going to give our bum a really good squeeze, and then vertebrae at a time, we're going to roll up through our spine. I'll just move my arm out of the way just so you can see. So we're rolling up vertebrae at a time, all the way up, until our hips are in line with our knees. Now be careful you don't go too far like this. I don't know if you can see now, it's a bit of an excessive over the top arch of my lower back. And that's going to put pressure on my lower spine, which I don't want. So start thinking about your belly button coming to your spine. And your hips, you should be able to just see your knees. Sometimes do this in a mirror, it really helps just to see what's going on with your body. And then we're going to roll all the way down, keep squeezing that bum. And once you're all the way down, release your bum, your pelvis is back in neutral. And then we're going to go again. So squeeze the bum, tuck the pelvis under, rolling up to spine. Keep thinking about this belly button dropping towards your spine. This is engaging our core. So we don't want to brace where our stomach bulges, because that's not good. And let's go again. So we're going to do 7 more in total. So again, these are really nice ways to work your core, work your glutes, without doing loads of sit-ups. I find sit-ups very boring, and I will find every alternative to find something more fun and interesting to do than a sit-up. And I find this is just great for the glutes. Just keep squeezing the glutes all the way throughout until your bum hits the floor and it can release for a moment. And again, if you're just a bit bored of your normal workout, or if you just want to add something a bit different to work your glutes, this is a great exercise because it's also going to help you in your bridges as well. It's also mobilizing the spine. And from all the waffling I just did, I can't remember what number we're on. So I'm going to do 3 more and we're going to count that as 10. I have a great habit of losing track of counting. Rolling up, still making sure the spine is going towards the stomach. And all the way down. 2 more. And rolling up. You can even think about the belly button not just dropping towards the spine. You can drop towards the spine and let's try and travel up the spine, under your rib cage. And that sometimes can help an understanding of the activation of our core as well. Basically, one exercise, we're working a lot of different areas. It's like multitasking. And coming down for the last time. Awesome. So all of that's a really good warm-up for our spine, getting our spine warm and mobilized. We're starting to get those glutes activated. Now let's see what else I wrote down. Let's start working on our shoulders. So, shoulder warm-up. My most favourite one, and a really quick one to get the shoulders warm fast, is we're going to have our palm facing the ceiling. We're just going to lie down. You're going to imagine you're holding a ball and you're just going to throw it above your head. Once it's above your head, rotate the arm so the palm is facing the floor and then it comes back to your hip. And then we change it back to palms facing the ceiling. Over, down, and it comes back. And we do these quite fast. So we're going to do 10 each side and then 10 with both arms going together at the same time. So are you ready? Off we go. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you're going to go other side. I'm just going to flip over because there's a wall in my way. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to move both arms at the same time. So they're going to go over, and then they're going to flip, and then they're going to come down. You can do 10 of those, and I'm going to move the camera a little bit further back because it's too close. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And coming up. So we're going to do an active flex exercise. Now what I mean by active flex, you've got active and you've got passive. Passive is the range of motion you can have while you're pushing it there. Active is if you can take it there to yourself and without the aid of a prompt. So the difference is my elbow can get to here, but if I grab it, I can take it all the way over there, but if I release, it goes back. So this is my active stretch range for this specific motion, and that's my passive range. Yeah? So active flex is really important with everything. You'll hear me go on about it a lot. So for our shoulder one, you're just going to sit in your bum, and we're basically just going to be in a child's pose position. And what we're going to do is our palms are going to face inwards first. We're going to be looking towards the floor. I'm going to talk first before I do that. And then you really think about stretching your arms as far as you can. And you're going to raise it up and then bring it back down. Now what we're going to make sure is our ribs are glued to our thighs. If they start coming off or you feel one side that you're raising is coming away from your thigh, you're cheating. Basically the body will go the route of least resistance. So instead of using the active flex for the shoulder, it will cheat by engaging a different muscle group to help the motion. We don't want that. So keep your ribs glued to your thigh as we do this one. We're going to do 10 each side. Yeah, so glue those ribs in your chest to your thighs, don't let them move. We're going to have our arms in front. You can keep the other hand if you want flat on the floor just to stabilize, or the other one has a thumb to the ceiling. It's going to do the work. So look towards the floor. Head close to the floor as you can, and reach the arm as far as you can, and then you're going to raise it off as high as you can, and then down. So 2, 3, 4, remember to keep stretching before you raise, 7, 8, 9, 10, other side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Have a rest. We're going to do it once more in a second, but I want you to think of when you did that. Where do you think your arm was? Was it in line with the shoulder, or did it start to drift? So when you really stretch it forwards, this shoulder, not that you have another one over here, but your shoulder, as it stretches forwards, is going to be really close to your ear. So as you brush it up and down, you should feel it go past your face. If there's a massive gap between your shoulder and your face, you could be working harder, yeah? So don't let your arm cheat. So we're going to go again, 10 each side. So child's pose, what was once a comfy, relaxed position, we are now turning into harder work. So all the way down, really stretch the arm and raise it up and down. 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And back up.
Awesome. So, another great shoulder active flex. And this one I find is so good for that scapular posterior tilt or shoulder blade posterior tilt that we really need. So I'm just going to shuffle this way so you can still see what my arm is doing. If you're on a mat or on carpet, I would suggest just like a cloth or anything, we just need this sliding action without abrasing the skin. So this time, I'm going to do it all while looking at you, but our head will be relaxed towards the floor as you do this. You're going to make sure your elbow is in line with your shoulder. We're then just going to raise that arm up as high as we can, and then we're going to just give it a bit of a hold, and then it can come back down again. So we're going to do that 10 times. Be careful. You think you've gone high, you're like, oh, I can get really high. And all that's happening is we're flexing out the wrist. So make sure your hand doesn't cheat. I know mine loves to, and I'm like, I'm doing so well. And you look, you're like, oh, no, I'm not. So you can place your other hand, kind of make a little fist. So you've got something for your head to rest on, or down. You don't want any neck strain, really. So, making sure you've got the alignment. And we're going to raise the hand up. We're going to hold, and we'll bring down. And 2, hold, down. 3, hold, down. 4, hold, down. 5, hold, down. 6, hold, and down. 7, and hold it, and down. 8, hold, so you can get a little bit higher actually, and then you can come down. 8, we're going to hold, we're going to go a bit higher and come down. I may have said 8 twice. And 9, hold it, get it a bit higher and down. And the last one, 10, hold, coming down. Give your shoulder a wiggle. We're going to stay on the same side, by the way. I'm going to make it harder. Now, if this was hard enough for you, you don't have to do the next part. Just repeat the same exercise we've done. The next one is harder. It looks surprisingly easy. It burns. It's a lovely rotator cuff exercise. So we've brought it up, and now we're going to think about sliding the elbow up above us. And we really want to think about getting this forearm all the way vertical like that, which mine does not do. So as you slide it up, we're trying to bring the elbow up and in front of us as we keep the forearm high. So I'm going to show you one first, because you might be going, what's going on about? So from here, the arm comes up, keeping the forearm at least the same height. We're going to shuffle this elbow forwards and forwards and forwards and forwards and forwards, and then we're going to bring it all the way back, and then down. Yeah, it's not fun, I'm sorry. Go nice and slow. The quicker you do things sometimes, the more we skip the activation of the muscle groups we're trying to activate. So go nice and slow. We're only going to do 5. If it is too much, just do a few of these ones until we've worked through 5 of these. Right, so setting up the same. Forearm comes up. Hold it high. Shuffle the elbow forwards. Keep that wrist high. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And then back down. Keep the wrist high though, just the elbow shuffling up and down as we go for our second one. And back. And third one. And back. Fourth. Ooh, burns, doesn't it? And back. And fifth one, make sure that wrist has not dropped lower. And back. Oh. Let's go to the other side. So we're just going to do our 10 salute things. Don't know what they're called actually. You can call them cactus salutes. With that little hold in between.
resting down, line your elbow up, approximately in line with your shoulder. And off we go. 1. And we're going to hold. This is my least flexible side. And second one, up, hold, and down. 3, hold, down. 4, and down. 5, hold, down. 6, and hold, and down. 7, and down. 8, see if you can get it higher, make sure that wrist isn't cheating, I know mine is trying to, and down, and 9, try to get it a bit higher, and down, and 10, hold, 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 and down. Give your shoulder a bit of a roll before we go to the next one. We'll be doing bridges shortly, I promise. So, either one, keep that wrist high, slide the elbow up. Don't let the forearm drop any lower. If you can even think about getting it higher, that's good. Let's go. So we're going to raise up. We're going to slide our elbow all the way up and then down. That's 1. Keep the forearm high. 2. And 3. 4. And 5. Back down. Oh. Hope your shoulders are feeling nice. And by the way, the exercise I'm just showing you in this one, I have thousands more. So over time, you'll have hopefully a lovely collection. So what I want us to do now, some bridges. We are going to have lovely wide legs, and we can have really wide arms. All we're doing for this one is just warming our body up, body up for going upside down, and just kind of making it aware we were going to be doing this. Yeah. So, if you have hair, make sure it's not in the way. There's nothing worse than trapping one hair under your hand as you push up into your bridge and getting trapped by your hair. So nice wide legs. Make sure your hair is out the way. And then just have your arms wide. And normally we would say you want them narrow, but we're not worrying about that right now. So nice wide arms. Now do what we did with the yoga bridge. How about we squeeze that bum? We start to tilt, tuck the pelvis under, and you're going to roll up through your spine as high as you can. As the weight comes into your hands, you're going to start pushing up into your bridge. And then we're going to come back down straight away. We are not going into our forends just yet. We roll down through the spine. So the common mistake is people try and go to their end range straight away. Sometimes our bodies are not ready for that. They want to be warmed up. So let's go again, just a nice, more comfortable one. We will make it more evil in a second. So squeeze the bum, tuck the pelvis under, roll up through your spine, all the way up to your shoulders, and up into your bridge. And back down. All the way down. Now the next one we're going to go into the bridge. This is all dependent on where you're at. If you're getting your head off the floor, I want you to start thinking about that shoulder push, like we were doing with our extension, so you're pushing your shoulders up to your ear. But be careful that we don't start internally rotating. So you want to think about your lat coming around you and hugging you, I guess, but wrapping in, so your armpits are kind of not flaring out to the side, they're trying to come inwards. So you're going to go up and you're going to give extra push, then you're going to come back down. Again, nice wide arms for now. Wide legs. And squeeze the bum, rolling all the way up. And push. And extra push. And then come down. Now your choice is you can just stay with doing that. If you find this isn't too bad, we're going to go up and we're just going to do like little semicircles side to side. So we're going to be using our legs as well now. So we're going to go semicircle to one side, semicircle to the other. Basically, we're thinking about trying to get our chest over our wrists as we do this. If you don't much, if that mobility isn't there yet, don't Don't beat yourself up about it, we're just starting out here. But just think about just having even that movement of side to side is good, and if you can make it into a semicircle, even better. So, again, let's keep everything a little bit wider this time. Tuck the bum under, rolling up, push up, now push higher, and then rock to one side, and rock to the other, and rock to one side, and rock to the other. If you need to come down, come down. If you want to walk your feet in closer to get more of a push, go for it. And then come down, because I can't last any longer either. Now, because we stayed up there a bit longer, let's give a little rock. So hug your knees and rock back and forth. Give your spine a well-deserved massage. So, pardon me, we are going to go for our legs closer together. A ball is great right now, or a yoga block, or a nice thick pillow. Because what we want, especially if you're starting to feel it in your lower back, this is what's going to help prevent as much pressure on the lower back. We're going to get these glutes working. Now, because there's something in between our legs, our inner thighs are turning on. And as our inner thighs are turning on, it's supporting our glutes are supporting our core. All works together. So, place it in between. And again, we're just going to roll up, come back down for the first one, because we're just changing that leg positioning. We're going to make sure our hands are now coming in closer to our face if they weren't before. Think about those elbows coming in. So squeeze the bum. Do your yoga bridge beginning of rolling up through your spine. And then push up with your hands. Squeeze your knees together. And then come down. And then give your legs a hug. You can give the ball a hug as well if you want. Give your legs a shake. So you may have felt it this time more intense on your upper body than normal, but hopefully less on your lower back. If you still are feeling a lot, and I don't just mean like, it's a little bit uncomfortable, I mean, this is not right type of pain. Place your legs on something much higher, so a sofa, and go up into your bridge that way. Again, it's going to help ease that tension. It's going to work more into your upper part of your spine and your shoulders. And we're just basically taking that out of the equation. So for everybody else, let's go once more. Let's try and hold it. We're going to start really thinking about that. You're going to go up and you're going to think about that shoulder push even more. So you're getting your chest even higher to the ceiling. Then we're going to push our chest over our shoulders. Yeah? So really go up to go over. We're going to create space in our spine. So, let's position ourselves, make sure my hair's not in the way, which it will be most likely. So, do your little roll up through your spine, and up we go. And then coming down. 4. Let's just do a rock back and forth. So, those are some great exercises to do to help with the foundation of your bridge. I haven't done these since the last lockdown, and it shows, but they do work really well. And I'll bring out some more videos with more exercises that will help support bridges and rotator cuffs and everything else. So I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you all soon.